Hello friends, myself Professor Vinod Pillai. Welcome to C++ programming session. In today's session, I'll be talking about one of the concepts called standard template library. How to use standard template library with file.io in a much better solution, or you can say much better efficient manner to run the program. Okay, this is one of the problems when came to me recently. One of the projects came to me in Java, not in C++, that they want to do much multiple operations in the backend, but the backend should not be called off much. I mean, like, it should be called as minimal as possible. Okay, so one of the solutions I suggested, or you can say I come up with, is like use the concept of standard template libraries, that is using the inbuilt libraries. Okay, in Java it is util functions. Okay, so generic util functions I used there. So I thought like it is better like to explore the same thing in C++ also, because as we are having standard template library in C++ too. Okay, and to show my viewers like how this one of the same concepts you can use in C++, and you can do such solutions. Okay, now problems is something like this, so you can understand more properly. I'm having multiple classes in my project, like student, customer, or many other classes. I want to manage them. That means I want to do add, update, delete, and display all such operations on those classes, and data should be persistent. That means I want to store the data into the files, so that even if I left at the whatever stage at today, whenever I come tomorrow, okay, it should be in the same stage. So if I entered 5 records, okay, so next day I comes into my office, I see that the old 5 records are there. Okay, I'm not taking into consideration now the database, I'm just considering the file.io. Okay, you can do such things with database too. Okay, it will be a little bit manageable. You have to do some managing works, because it will not be that too easy. Okay, I'm showing you the path. Okay, you can walk through it. Okay, you can explore it. I feel so there will be a much solution is possible for major problems. If you still find any problems, you can just comment on me. Okay, or else just post a mail to myvinodthebest@gmail.com. Okay, now the requirement is that very specifically fine, I can do the same task. I can manage the student into the file.io, that is simply add, update, delete, create the functions, or else uh, use template concepts, which I have shown previous also in my one of my videos. I've shown that concept. Okay, but here my more specification is that code efficiency point of it is like the code should be minimal overhead should be given to the system. Okay, now as we all know, whenever we talk to backend, or when we are communicating in the file.io, okay, it is a maximum overhead we are giving to the system. Okay, the system becomes too slow. Okay, because it's contacting to the file.io. Okay, so it should be minimal, it is been required. Okay, so code should be efficient, it should run fast, and all such requirements are there. To solve that problems, I'm suggesting one solutions is to involve standard template library here. Okay, I hope so you know the concept of standard template library. Okay, I just give you an overview only. I do expect that you know have the understanding. Standard template library is a inbuilt library, or you can say a library externally created. It was not been previously added with C++. It is an extra library being added to it. In that, it is multiple classes, algorithms, iterators have been there. Okay, classes are there in which you can store the values, and iterator is helped to as a pointer, it will point to the particular locations, and algorithms are simply the methods you can do externally to perform those operations. Okay, and using these classes you can store them, as I told you. But one more efficient thing is that, or you can good thing in that class is that the classes are all template types. Okay, so they are generics. You can store integer, float, you can even store user defined data type like student. Okay, so what I'm going to propose is like that, create 2 major methods. Okay, instead of 4 methods, create 6 methods. Okay, 2 methods for read all data and write all data. Okay, now these 2 methods, before going into that, I'll explain these 4 methods. Okay, and I am having 4 methods called add, update, delete, display. Now you'll be thinking like this is the same what I was doing. No, it's quite different. These 4 methods, in where we are doing add, update, delete, we are not actually doing add, update, delete with files. Okay, so in the complete program we'll be communicating with standard template library. Okay, so data will be stored into the library, or you can say in the container. I will be updating in the container, I will be deleting from the container, I will be displaying from the container only. Whenever I'll say I want to add some new data, it will be added to the container only. Okay, and once I am leaving, or you can say at the end of the session, I am finally terminating the program. okay. That means I want to at the end of the day I'll be completely transferring all the data which is I've stored in the standard template library or in my container to the file, okay. And the next day when I came up, okay, I start my system, okay, and I start my program, the program will automatically load all the data from the file to the standard template library or my container. So the file read and write operation in my program I've just shown only twice only, okay. That is, once I start the system, it will take all the values from the file and it will load into the my container. Now the container, when I say display all, the container will have naturally have all the values, because I've before getting into the program, I've taken all the values from the file to the container, okay. So all the, it's a display all, it will show all the values like it showing in the file, okay. Similarly, uh, when I say update delete, it will be done in the container, and in the end of the day, before leaving, all the data is again back, I am transferring to the file. So people will feel like that you are doing with the file, actually you are not doing with the files, because as we are using the concept of container, it will be much faster than using the concept of file. Because if you want to do, suppose, a 250 times, or you can say 100 times insert, update, delete and display and all, add, update, delete and all those operations, you can say you can doing 100 times file IO operations, okay. It will definitely make your system, or you can program much slower, okay. And here what you're doing is basically you're doing 100 times all insert, update, delete, add, update, delete and all those operations with the container only, and you're doing file IO twice only. That is, one, first time when you start the program, it will read all the values from the file, and the second time when you're ending the program, that is, it will transfer all the data back to the file, okay. So this is, I feel, much better solutions, and I'll show you how you can do those things. And I've created a program which I'll show you, okay. I've already coded it, okay. I have used the concept of map. I do expect that you know the concept, it is one of the containers, okay. Map, I just give you an overview. It stores values in the concept of key and value concept. You want to retrieve the value, you have to pass the key, okay. Now I have already shown you that to read and write from file, we can use the concept of template. I've just replaced those programs only, so you'll find these things again and again. I hope so you know the concept of template. I'll not be explaining this thing. If you have any queries, you can view my one of the videos in that I've shown how templates can be used with file IO, okay. Now I have created a global variable map, okay. I've said that my key will be in an integer value and my data will be of student type, okay, and my container name is my data, okay. So as it is global, it can be accessed by all the functions, okay. So I'm creating two methods, write data and read data. Write data is completely writing data, all the data from my container to the file, and read data is completely reading all the data from file to container. So it will be called twice only, at the start of the program and at the end of the program, okay. I've created 5 methods. Basically I've created one display by ID also, okay. So if you want to display all only, so you can remove this particular one. So I have just kept one method so that you can view the particular record only instead of displaying all. So simply it is a method declaration, there is nothing specific in that. I've created a simple class only so that it will be much easier to understand, because creating class and all is not my concept, that I feel. So it is you are having that idea. So student class is having simple 2 variables, roll number and marks. It's having 3 methods, set data, display and get ID. It returns my roll number, okay. So whatever object is there, you call get ID, it will return that particular object's roll number. Set ID is simple cout and scene only, and display is simply displaying the values of roll number and marks. Now comes how to write the data into the files. Now what I have done is, here I have created the iterator, okay. Just concentrate on the what I want to explain you, okay. Forget about templates, you can concentrate on templates in another sessions, okay. That is previously been explained, okay. So what I've done is I've created an fstream, I'm creating a student object, I'm creating an iterator. Iterator should know to whom it is being pointing, okay. So I'm telling him this is the map class you are pointing up, okay. I've opened the file in the binary mode, okay. So remember that I'm creating a new file only. So whatever data old is there, it is will be removed, and whatever new data or with the iterator, or I'm sorry, with the content it is having, it is completely going to paste into the file, okay. So I should know how many values are there in the data. So I'm calling iterator, telling him to rotate how many time iterator is equal to this thing, my data dot begin. I'm telling my data is my global container, map container I've created. Begin, it will point into the first index, okay, till it not gets into the end. and iterator plus plus. So it will move from one object to another object and whatever it is stored in the container. So to get the values, I'm storing it is like star dot iterator dot second. Star dot iterator dot second means first is considered, this integer is considered, that key is considered first and student is considered the second. Okay, so it is always remember that star dot iterator, that is the point, it is one type of pointer, so you have to put it in brackets. Star dot iterator dot second, I'm telling it will return my the student object. As my iterator is pointing to the first index, the first object which is stored in my container, it will be returned to sobj. Sobj is nothing but a student class object. Okay, so it will get the first object which is stored in my iterator and simply writing that object into the file. This loop will rotate as many number of container values you are having. Suppose your container is having 10 values, the loop will rotate 10 times, and each time the iterator is being plus plus, so it will move the pointer from one object to the second object. Okay, so this way I will take first object into the sobj and writing it. Similarly, I will take second object, and this way I can write all the objects into my file. Now reading all the values, you can I think so you can guess, it will be quite easy. Simply nothing I am doing, I'm getting the file, I'm reading the file, opening the file. Now here this is important, okay, because it may be possible the first time when I'm running, okay, I'm not having any file only. So if in this case I'm simply returning it only. If that is not the case, I'm having the file, then I have to load every data from the file to the container. Okay, so I'm getting the file size, I'm rotating the loop, I'm reading each object from the file. Whatever object I'm reading, I want to store it into the container. Now to store into the container, you should specify him the index, and you can specify where you want to store. Now index is nothing but the key value you are passing. Okay, and if you remember, my key is I have specified it is as a integer type. So I'm using the object's roll number as a key, so that to retrieve also, if user enters the roll number, he will get the appropriate student object. Okay, that concept I've used here. Okay, so my data is my global container. I'm specifying what is my key, so I'm saying the whatever object you've read from the file, get id. So whatever object I'm reading, suppose the first object I've read, his roll number is 1, that is will get it, and it will be stored as a key, and that in front of that key, what value you want to store, I'm telling this complete object what I've read from the file, just store into that. Okay, so this loop will rotate as many data you are stored into the file. Suppose the file is having 5 objects, it will read each object. First object is read, get its roll number, store it as a key into the container, and store in front of the key, store this value as a object. Okay, because in the container I have specified my key and value concept will be integer and student. Okay, and obj is nothing but a student class object. Okay, so it has read. Okay, now finally after doing those things, I've simply closed the file. Okay, now comes the create. Now creating the map, that is simply writing the data to the map. So anytime your user says insert, you're not inserting to file, you're inserting to the container. So before inserting, you need a sobj object. So I've simply created the student object. I'm saying sobj.setData, so I'm calling the setData object. Okay, and that object will be stored, that is object is having the values. Okay, now my data, simply that is my container, sobj whatever the student has to enter the data, that objects whatever id roll number he has entered, get that roll number as a key and store that in front of that roll number, just store this object. It's quite simple, I feel so you will understand now easily. Now display all, nothing you have to do, I have to simply display from the container only. So what I'm done, I've created an iterator specifying that you are mapping to this particular type of map, getting the begin position. So iterator is pointing to my data's begin position till they're not equal to end each time I'm getting. So how to display it now, star iterator dot second will return my object. I don't want the object, I want to get the value what is stored in the object. So once I get the object, I can call that object dot display, because display method is there in the student class. So what I'm doing, star dot iterator dot second will give me the object, I'm calling directly that display method. You can create an object of student class, get this star dot iterator dot second and get that obj dot display, you can do it, but I feel so it is not, I feel it's quite understandable, you can do this only. Now this is nothing you simply display as per the base of id. So you need an id, so I created an integer id. Simply ask the user which id you want to search, I mean which roll number you want to search. The roll number is being stored into the id. Map, I'm simply doing it, I'm iterator same concept. I'm checking if id is equal to iterator dot second dot get id. You can use, there is a map is also having a find method. I've not made much complex, otherwise I have to explain all those things. I've used a simple concept, it will be easier for you to understand. So id equal to star dot iterator dot second will give me the object, dot get id will return me the id of that particular object. I'm comparing that with the id. If it is same, okay, then only I'm displaying it, nothing much. Okay, so now delete. Okay, delete also I need an id. I've asked the id, I've created the iterator. I'm telling the iterator to point from the begin and go to the end. Okay, if id is match, then I'm simply, what I'm doing is, here I'm getting the object, so I'm getting that value into the object, I'm getting the id and I'm displaying it. Okay, this is just for the sake purpose to show user that this is the particular object is going to be deleted. Okay, to delete particular data from the map, you can use the erase method. Erase is an inbuilt method of map class. Okay, now erase, before erasing you have to pass the key. So id is having the which particular object you want to delete is id. Sobj.getId will return me the roll number of that particular object. I'm passing to that to erase. Erase will remove that particular object from the particular container. Okay, now to update, nothing special, I think so you can understand. Ask the id, get the iterator, rotate a loop till the end of the container. If id is match, if everything matches, I'm simply displaying it for the sake that just to show user the data has been found and this was old data. I'm creating the student object, I'm asking a new data. Now new data is there with the sobj. I want to store that sobj object into this particular location. So how to do that? Star.iterator.second will give me an object, but I can do like this: star.iterator.second is equal to sobj. So wherever the star.iterator object is pointing, sobj will paste into that particular location, so it automatically it will update that particular location data. Okay, nothing special, simply a main method now. Okay, now this is quite interesting. When to read, before starting the program, I'm calling the read method. Okay, so as the program starts, it will call the read method. So what the read I'm passing sobj student object and where I want to read and write. So I'm passing as user.data. So it will call the read method. So assume that there is no such file because we are doing it first time, so no file found, so it will return it, simply goes back. If it is not the case, then it will read the file, it will get all the values and it will store into my data. That is important. Okay, so after reading, suppose there is no data, it will come back, it will go into the infinite loop while one create, that is create student, display all, and update and delete. Okay, it has been asked a choice simply and it has been, each method is been called. Okay, so if suppose user says fine, I've done it, I want to exit. So before exiting, all the data is in the container, now we want to transfer into the file, so I'm calling write data. So write will call that write data will call, it will take all the value from the container and will get into the file. I hope so you know that I've explained the first that method only. Okay, here we can see it is getting the open the files, getting the iterator position and storing each file into the file. Okay, let's try to run this program and then you will understand. Okay, before running the program, let me see. So in this file there is no that particular object .dat file is not there, so first time it will return. So I'll compile it, it's giving because I have used character star else, so it's running. Just okay, so first time I'm writing create student and I'm saying create student, roll number as 1, marks as 100. Okay, so now I'm saying display, so it says yes, you have one value there, that's there. Now if you remember, it's first time it has read but no such file has found. Okay, so it has now the data, this one is read from container. Okay, I want to add one more, so I say roll number as 2 and his marks is 200. So now I say display all, so it says yes, you have 2 records. Now both the records are in container, it is nothing is there in file IO, but I'm saying exit. Now the data has been transferred to file IO. Okay, let's see, again I'm running, I'm saying display all, so I'm getting both the values, all the data from the file is been transferred back to the container. Suppose I say now I want to add again, so I say roll number as 3 as 300. Now I say display all, so the 3 is there. Now I say I want to update it, suppose, or display by ID. It's asked me which particular ID you want to say, I want to say 2, so it is been searching, so container searching is done. Now I say I want to update it. Okay, so I say option as 4. It asks me the roll number, so I say roll number as 2 only. So he's asking what is the new roll number. I said 2 is the roll number, but let the marks be 222. Okay, so data has been updated. Let's see. So you can see the previously data was 200 and now it has been updated. Okay, now finally we'll see the delete. He's asking me the roll number, so I say ID as 2. So delete has been performed, it says. Let's check it up, and if you can see, we have removed both the elements. Okay, so in this way now I'll just exit. Okay, so they can get an idea. Again I run it, again I said display. Now you can see that it is all the old data with update, delete, and all things are being performed with file also. So the user will feel like you're performing again and again with file operations, but actually you're not doing. You're using the concept of container. Okay, and you're storing the values in standard template library, that is in map. Only at the end of the program and the starting only you're performing file IO operations. There are much changes I feel, so it should be done in this, but this just an initial step I've shown you how you can do such things. Okay, and you should remember before using map you have to include the particular header file. Okay, don't forget that also. I hope so you have understood. With this solution we can make our code much efficient and much faster. This will be helpful in programs where we have huge amount of data to be stored into the file IO and regular intervals, that is every 5 to 10 minutes you are storing your data into the file IO. Okay, and in that case it will be much helpful. I hope so. If you have any queries, you can post a comment, or else you can send a mail to vinodthebest@gmail.com. Thank you and have a nice day.